Good morning, friends. I have vowed this year to be able to do things more intentionally. And what that means is to be more aggressive than I ever have been. To be able to try to mean what I say and say what I mean in the best and easiest way that I can say it, so that people understand that I'm serious and I welcome being challenged at any time. There was some talk this morning as the governor vetoes the bill to allow the Bible to be brought into school, evidently subject to the possibility of a lawsuit. So I thought I would like to discuss my views on that. So some of the comments were, according to our illustrious ignorant populace, is that we should not have the Bible in school because we, as Christians, fear equal time for the Muslims and the Buddhists and the Taoists and the atheists and all of the rest of that. Well, if that's true, and there is no separation between some of these other things, like Islam, and the fact that they don't have any separation between religion and their form of government, and the same people that think that are so afraid of the Bible to be taught in school or allowed in school or whatever, espouse the principles of freedom for this country, I would suggest that in the name of tolerance and equal time, if we shouldn't allow the Bible to be brought into school, which somehow people think that the state has the authority to do, we should allow for equal time for our forms of government too. Not that we were ever a constitutional republic, but let's just say for giggles that we were. So what we'll do is we'll be a constitutional republic for 3 months, maybe 2 months. We're not even that for a minute now. And then we'll allow the Buddhists to be able to come in, and we'll go ahead and reinstitute a new Congress. Nah, we don't need a Congress. We'll just allow them to be able to create any form of government they want for 3 months. And then we'll get rid of those and we'll allow the atheists to come in and they could create their own form of government for 3 months. Hey, if it's all about equal time, then let's just make it about equal time, shall we? For you Christians out there and you conservative constitutional activists worried about being sued because you really do want the Bible in school but you're worried about equal time, I would say that you probably don't know history very well. And the whole point of having a free common school in the first place. Sure, it's a plank on the Communist Manifesto, isn't it? But our founding fathers actually knew that if we had a free common school, that we could actually perpetuate morality and religion as a foundation to be able to carry on as a legacy so this country could understand where its foundations came from, how freedom is perpetuated, and how a moral and peaceful culture lasts over time. What the few people realize is that the things about our immoral nature, the deception that we have, the tremendous debt, the corruption, the deception, the tyranny, the lack of ethics, the fact that we have more laws now than ever, and somehow we are still lawless, and somehow people think that we still need more laws while they espouse the fact that we're a free country, right? Land of the free and the home of the brave. And in reality, there's a slight disconnect where people don't realize that it was the Bible that actually created that morality in this country. Forget about the fact that the Supreme Court, through H.R. 95, I think, way back in 1895 or something, actually mandated that the Bible was actually taught in school in the States. Yep, they actually did that because they understood the value of the biblical teachings in school. And if you go to the state statutes, you actually find the very same thing. Did you actually know, and I think it's in Title 33 of the Idaho Code, that it actually mandates that teachers are supposed to teach the Bible? Well, knowing those two things and the fact that Otter has vetoed the bill, what does that do to the state statute? What does that do as people's common understanding of the Supreme Court as the supreme law of the land, like everybody believes, which isn't true, by the way? Give you $10,000 if you can find it. at least in our Constitution. The Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land. Yeah, that sounds like Russia. So look at some of these things. So a good point was brought up today. So we don't mind passing Bibles out in prisons, right? But we don't want them in school. So is there more freedom of religion in prison than there is in school? Forget about the fact that schools and prisons are different. They're really not. Some of the terminology is the same. The surveillance cameras are the same. The pat-down techniques are the same. And so are the lockdowns. But we won't even go into that. What about hospitals? We all love Obamacare, right? We don't talk about the environment. We don't talk about chemtrails. We don't talk about the formaldehyde and mercury in our vaccinations while we forcefully are against those anti-vaxxers. We don't realize there could be some chemical imbalance because we weren't actually created to be able to have that in our body. But we want healthcare and we want hospitals. Do you know that hospitals were actually religious organizations? They still actually have clergy there. Should we get rid of them too? And what happens when you grow a culture from when these children are little to be able to hate the Bible? Shall they not go to hospitals because they don't want the Bible there? Well, now they're becoming liberal institutions that are being controlled by the government. Fascism, in my best estimation. So exactly where does this go? We've become the land of hospitals and attorneys. Both who are becoming anti-God. Not to mention their relationship is highly unlawful. And to answer Kevin's question about the legal nature of this thing, first of all, does the federal government have the authority to be able to impose such a thing? Second of all, who's going to be suing the governor when it's already written in our statutes and the Supreme Court has declared it? Does the state not have the authority to be able to do that? And are we buying into the separation of church and state the way Thomas Jefferson understood it and explained it to be? Or have we taken on the atheistic worldview where the church and the state have to be separated? And isn't it funny that the atheists are the ones that are more tolerant of Islam than they are of Christianity, allowing the refugees and the rest of it to be able to come in here to institute their religious form of government? Religion is simply a belief. If it is not Christianity, there will be a vacuum and it will be occupied by some other religion. Torcaso versus Watkins in 1960, I believe, is pretty clear on that. And I believe that Americans are absolutely clueless about the understanding of the separation of church and state, the importance of the Bible, how it correlates with equal time, our forms of government, dealing with the purpose of public school in the first place to perpetuate morality. And then what does it do about rights anyway? If God is not taught, if God is not taught the author of life and that rights come from God, then what is the government trying to impose? The government is imposing that rights come from them, which are nothing more than privileges, which flies in the face of the principles of our American constitutional republic. So when you talk about the fact that you don't want the Bible to be taught in school, I'm asking you to be able to open up and widen your periphery just a little bit to be able to see in how many different ways the Bible actually is responsible, or our adherence to the Bible has been responsible for the freedom that we've enjoyed for 239 years. And it has only been because of the fact that the Bible is being stripped away from our culture that we're facing the things that we're facing, which puts us all in harm's way. So you guys, I just wanted to be able to tell you that intentionally, share my thoughts with you. If it matters, please share it. And if you disagree, let's not talk about your random opinions. Let's talk about some facts and prove to me that I'm wrong. Because the only way that we're going to understand our way out of this is when you and I can get together and we can sharpen iron. Talk about the facts. God bless you. Love you. Bye.